Audi TT. Now, disclaimer, I actually owned one of these 10 years ago now. I paid £6,000 for mine when I was 21 years old. Worked my ass off to buy one of these, and today I'm actually going to jump back in one. Now these are sub £1,500 to buy. Let's see what you're actually getting for your money and how well these cars have actually aged. Now, starting up front, this has the BAM engine, which is the code you want to get if you're getting an Audi TT. This is the 1.8 litre turbocharged, but it is the 225 version. Now, these engines, I would say, are relatively indestructible. Personally, when I had one of these, I did go through a couple of coil packs. That was the one thing that I did go through, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time in my Audi TT. But modifications to this one, there's an air filter, and that's it. Now, say these came with 220 brake horsepower from the factory, to remap and air filter, exhaust, all that, you're looking at around 250, 260 brake horsepower in one of these. That's exactly what I did to mine, because I did feel, although the power is very linear from one of these, it came on very well when it boosts all the way through the revs. It does need that little bit of punch. So you were to get one of these, and now they're incredibly cheap. They're incredibly cheap to modify. So buying aftermarket parts, second-hand aftermarket parts, is incredibly cheap, and you get good power gains. So another disclaimer, I had to drive this car a little bit of a distance, so it is, as you can see, a little bit dirty in the chute. Very, very sorry about that, internet, but let's talk about the styling, because that is a very high point for some of the reasons why people don't buy these things. I, for one, quite like the styling. The bubbly look is sort of what made me want one at the time. So bubbly look meaning the headlights and the shape of the front especially incredibly rounded, going over to where the cockpit is, but swooping down at the back. I get that it's quite bubbly, but I do think Audi hit the nail on the head with the Mark 1 TT being the shape it was. It was different, it was bubbly. I think for me, as a buyer at the time, I liked that more than if it was a bit more square. Now, the rear of these cars is sort of my favourite part, with the swooping coupe lines coming down, with this big bubble butt at the back. Little flicky spoiler, I think it's still contemporary in 2019. It still looks the part, especially from the rear end. It hasn't aged too badly. At the back you have the Quattro logo in there, because obviously the Quattro system is the reason you need to buy one of these cars, and Audi TT logoing the other side. Now, one thing to point out is mine actually came with a diffuser at the back, so it actually had a honeycomb mesh at the bottom next to the exhaust system. Again, if you were going to get one of these, I would suggest trying to find one with that, or if you do buy one without it, they're pretty easy to interchange. Now, let's talk about boot space, because in your coupe sports car, you still want to take a little bit of luggage with you. So by popping the button inside, there is quite a bit of room in here. I think the main two talking points of the boot space is that it's incredibly shallow, because obviously four-wheel drive system, and this warning logo, because it says don't sit in the back if you've got a head, because the boot will hurt you. Understandable, because as you'll see in a minute, the back seats are where there's not a lot of room, so that makes a lot of sense. Another incredibly cool feature is the petrol cap, and I remember back in the day when people used to take these and put them on Mark IV Golfs. I think people may still do, because if we jump inside and go to the same location that the boot popper is in, you will see a very cool petrol cap. Honestly, if some car makers actually put as much thought into their petrol caps as Audi did into this, we'd all be winning in the new car market. It's a very nice petrol cap, and I know it sounds weird that I'm pointing this out, but it's the little things like this that made this car just cool. Inside the Mark 1 TT, as you can see, lovely place to be, leather interior, but this is all the part we've been waiting for. I'm gonna try and get in the back. So, a couple of things to point out about getting in the back of this car. Number one, you come up to the car. There is a lever down here that you would expect to pull the seat forward with. Nope, it just pushes it up. So, as you can see here, there is another little lever that folds the seat down, but as you can see, you're not going to be able to get in there. So, you then have to actually physically push the seat all the way forward to gain access to the rear of this car. Let me pull my trousers up, because I don't think anyone wants to see my rear end. And, as you can see, we're in the back. Don't ever get in the back of one of these. I've had friends in the back of one of these, and I don't know what they were thinking when they put rear seats in these things. But as I'm back here, we'll point out two things. One, the CD changer, for some reason, is right here. Nice use of space from Audi. And the other side is a first aid kit, because you're going to need that when you bang your head on this rear glass. I mean, yeah. And then if you did get someone in the front, That's the seat all the way forward. I mean, oh God. I'm not sure what Audi were thinking when they tried to put back seats in this thing. I get that it's a marketing gimmick. Maybe you could put kids in the back. I wouldn't put kids in the back if it was me. Seats, incredibly comfortable, but supportive. That's how we like them. But inside the TT, we have knee pads down here to stop you snacking your knee on the center console. The pedals are laid out incredibly well. There's enough room down here for your silly shoes. Gearbox and the feel and the throw is incredibly notchy in these. Other things to point out in the interior are the actual climate control in these cars. Although very cool, it's a little bit annoying at the same time because you have a toggled button on these. The fastest way to actually get to low is like that. You can do the same with the fan blower speed as well, so slightly cool, slightly annoying at the same time. You can hold it, but it takes an absolute eternity to get to your desired degrees. Other thing, and I really like this, that's where you turn your heated seat on. Push-in dial that comes out, and then you can rotate it to your desired heated seat temperature. You've got a glove box in these, and as you lower it down, you can see that there is, in fact, cup holders. The only drink that you can actually put in them cup holders is a can, and it will fall over. So if it was me, I'd definitely try and get one with the cup holders that were here. I think it might have been an option because I do see a lot of Audi TTs without them, but mine actually had cup holders here, although they still weren't very good because as you change gear you still smack your arm on them. But hey, she's a sports car, we don't worry about stuff like that. What's it like driving the Audi TT? As I've already said, I actually owned one of these 9-10 years ago now, and I do remember it being this fun, exciting little four-wheel drive powerhouse. I mean, 225 brake horsepower from the factory when you're 20 in a little car like this. Yes, they're on the heavier side, don't get me wrong, but I think these came out at a time where there wasn't really anything like this. Four-wheel drive, you know, the Quattro system in this platform. It was a very small little car to take on this 1.8 litre turbocharged engine. This does make for some interesting driving because although it is pretty powerful from the factory, the power is incredibly linear in these cars. It comes on gradually throughout the revs. This is a completely stock car that I've got today, bar an air filter. Power is so linear, but this age of Volkswagen and Audi with these engines were linear from the factory. But what is it like to drive? So third gear, I'll chuck it into a corner, and the front end tucks in. Drive going to the front of the car, it tucks in, but the back end follows it round. Makes for some good B-road bash in this car. I think on the face of it, a lot of people don't like the looks. It's a bit too bubbly, and I understand it's not for everyone, but the drive of one of these is the real talking point because you're lower down in the car, the roof is lower, all of the windows are lower than any other VW Audi from the same generation. It gives this more exciting feel to drive. And this one at 131,000 miles, which I don't think's too bad, is still so compliant on the road. When you chuck it in, that rear end is following you round. And I think as bargains go, especially bargain B-roaders, this is right up there. Now, if you are after one of these and you're a little bit more conscious on the insurance, you can get a 180 brake horsepower model that at the time when I started this channel, I actually shot. I shot a 180 way back in the day. We're talking 4, maybe even 5 years ago now when this channel started. I think it was the second or third video I actually ever did on this channel, and to jump in one today, and I know some people are like, oh, it's only an Audi TT, but this brings back serious memories because I worked my absolute arse off for mine when I was 20 to own, to drive, to fuel, because it was expensive at the time to actually run it. So 10 years ago, I was paying £1,800 to insure my 225 Audi TT Mark 1. That was about right for the time. Everybody was driving 106 GTIs and Saxo VTSs, paying £3,500–4,000 for their insurance. So I thought I was getting a real deal. And remember, this car came with the Quattro all-wheel drive system. It comes with a 1.8 litre turbocharged engine up front. It came with heated seats, bearing in mind that mine did have the Alcantara perforated centres, and this has full black leather, which if you are looking to get one of these, I would definitely go for the black leather. And still today, for sub £1,500 you can get one of these for. Go and drive one. Yes, they're a little bit lumpy in the corners, but I think as an all-rounder with a little bit of boost space, but an exciting B-roader daily driver, right up there for the money. But as a standard car, the ride is supple, it changes gear, incredibly easy, the clutch is nice and soft. I absolutely cherished having one of these as my second car back in the day. The best experience, and it made me into the real petrol head that I am today, this car. Try and get out now. Oh god. Oh my god, I can't get out. Right, we'll go this way. We'll use it as a slide. Ow. Right, if you ever want to get out of one of these outtakes, if you ever want to get out of these, that's the way to do it, because I can't fold up like a pretzel, but if you slide out gracefully, you'll get out of the car.